welcome to Black, Red, and Blue Fancast. I'm AJ, and I'm joined today by Steve, as always. So this is actually a little different Fancast for us because every single one we've done so far, we've had a game to talk. But unfortunately, kind of like in sync, bye. Or wait, is that Backstreet? I don't know. So anyways, one thing that I kind of wanted to mention, and Steve will chime in too, is that this is truly a fan cast. This is a place where we're everyday fans. Like we really started getting into soccer. It was about a year and a half ago, right? And of course, we both have been lifelong fans. I think that's a requirement for St. Louis. You had to be like a Cardinals or Blues fan. Like you're just born one way or the other, right? And the thing that's cool about this is we're kind of in the middle, right? Like we're not the super funny guys. We're not the super analytical. We're just like the guys you would go get a beer or drink with. If there's anybody who's interested in joining us for like 10 minutes to come on and just have a conversation with us for part of the fan cast, we would welcome that. We also have some things in work that Steve may or may not mention to you here in a minute that you guys might be interested in engaging with us.
Right. You can find our podcast on Facebook. Currently, I am the main engagement guy, and my account on Facebook is Maze Zipper. You'll find me on the STL City all the fan pages, and I've joined some other ones, and I've got some really good engagement. I love talking with you guys. Yeah. And one thing that we want to make sure that everyone is aware of, we have a full spectrum of social media. We've got our Facebook accounts now. We're on Reddit. AJ's on Reddit. We have a Twitter account in which you'll find us. We have Instagram account. So we're pretty active. And if you ever find us and you want to engage with us, we want you out. We want you on with us. And if you're unable to or kind of nervous about coming onto a podcast and doing this, whether we've been doing this for a little bit, so it's just kind of natural for us. If you're kind of nervous, you can send us an email at brbfancast@gmail.com, or you can also leave us a voicemail. And that voicemail is 314-764-5130. Call us, leave a voicemail, tell us what you think, and we may play it on a future episode. We would love to be able to gauge some discussions because, again, like AJ said, where it's like, I'm a big D&D nerd, pretend like we're sitting around a big old table and we're just powering around. So that's kind of where we are. You can find us on all those social media accounts.
So actually, to kind of think about this, like one of the topics that we would love to talk to you guys about is we're about a third of the way season, right? So for City, this is match day 11. There's 32 games, if I recall. Yep. There's a 34. Yeah. I always forget, right? So we're a third of the way through already. Bye. Yeah. Gut reaction, Steve. How do you feel about this team?
We try really good. We've been so close on so many games. Like we don't have a collection of losses. We have a collection of draws, and we have a couple of pretty good wins. Even our draws haven't really felt like losses. I discussed with you offline that I looked at our record last year. At this time, last year we had 19 points. We're sitting at 12 points. And that's like 2 wins, and we're pretty much right on where we were last year. And at this time last year, we had those 5 straight wins. We had a couple losses and a draw. And people were still riding high from those 5 straight wins. And, I don't know. You and I have been pretty level-headed this year, where we're not jumping on the let's relegate Klaus, let's fire Carnell, let's just go ahead and just get rid of everyone. We are one of 29 teams in a league that's really kind of close. With the salary cap being what it is, there's really no team that's going to continually run away with it every year. And almost every game this year, I felt like we could win it. I never felt like we were last year when we were still brand new towards the end of the season. It's like, I felt like if we were going to win those games, it was by the skin of our teeth and just hold on for luck. I haven't felt that way. What do you think? How do you feel?
I'm kind of actually with you here, right? There's 34 games where we've played 10, right? I think it's a little too early to panic. There's still tons and tons of games left. Now, the thing is, like you said, we haven't had losses. They were either wins or draws. A lot of the draws, it was borderline anyways. But I actually feel pretty good about this team personally. And if you look at it compared to last year, I think the first 5 games was a lot of, hey, we entered league. There was no scouting reports. We played Austin last year first, right? But if you don't think they had no clue what to expect really. They might have been able to see, like, they know Carnell's probably his style. They've seen like some friendlies probably and stuff like that, but they didn't really have any true hardcore, like, right, game day footage to look at this team. I just think that we're a better team. We're better constructed, especially when we have everybody healthy too, right? Like, think about your back line. You have Parker, you have Merconic, you have Totlin, and then whether you put Nilsson there or Yarrow, whoever, like, it's still, that's a pretty darn good MLS back line. And then, even without Bloom, having Durkin as one of the semi-defensive / center midfielders has been wonderful. And then Olstrock and or Blom is going to be great as like your true number 6 there. And then, of course, Indy, I mean, we can go down the list. And then Celio, I wish we were doing the podcast last year because I would have been on record about this. But every time Celio came on last year, I was like, this guy knows where to be right now. He's not going to be as athletic as he's not as athletic as Sam, right? Sam's like crazy athletic. You can call us athletic too, right? I don't think Celio's as athletic, but he's so smart and he knows where to be. And you see that. But if you try, like, this team, we have really good players all across the board. Can we upgrade some? Of course, right? But man, I feel pretty good about this lineup compared to last year.
I love Durkin. We gave a king's ransom to get him, and we're seeing why. We're seeing what Lutz saw in this guy. He's a U22. He's a phenomenal player. Love Osha. He is almost like a genuine soccer type player. And then Celio is a more controlled version of AZ. Like, Celio, his ball handling goes. I think last year he had the highest ball handling score in the entirety of MLS last year. Like, the dude just knows what he's doing. And now we've signed him all the way through the 2026 season. Like, there's a reason why he's getting these contracts. Celio is just a nice guy. He's a great person. And that counts for something. I remember seeing all these videos, these social media clips that City posts about when the players are coming in. And like, they were one of the, during 4th of July, is who's the player you don't want to trust with the fireworks? And to a man, everyone's like, Celio. How funny is, like, it's I love this team. I love the composition of this team. And now we're getting that swagger. Thanks, Sporting. Thanks for that swagger boost. Like, I can just see it increasing. I can see us getting back in our form. Yeah. Some of the fans that I've been so worried about, like, us not winning 5 in a row, like, not being this perfect team. Like, guys, it's a whole season. The top 9 teams make the playoffs. We don't have to finish at the top. But yes, the fridge table was fun. It was a great time last year when the lowest we got was 3rd or 4th for like 2 weeks. It's not fun seeing us all the way down at 9th right now. But tough shit. I'm sorry, but it's just, we don't have to finish first. As long as we are putting out good soccer, we're not frustrated. It's entertaining. Like, that's the important thing. Like, that's all I care about. Are we entertaining? Are we winning? Great. Like, I don't want to be Seattle right now. I don't want to be New England right now. 4 points? Like, oh my God. Like, San Jose and Seattle were both above the watermark last year. They both made the playoffs, and they're fighting for the spoon right now. That ain't us. Like, we have a really well-constructed team, and we're going to continue to have a well-constructed team.
So you posted asking some fans, like, well, what should we discuss tonight? And I just want to kind of mention, because it's echoing exactly what you're saying. Nathan had mentioned how fair weather fans some of us are. We're in our 2nd year and people think we should be at the top and undefeated. And that goes to literally what you were saying. But if you try, why you brought this up,
I told Nathan that like we hammered it pretty heavy after one of like the maybe like the third draw where people were, especially on Reddit, which is where we were kind of hyper focused at that time, was like, this team are bums. This team are a group of bums. They're just the worst. It's like, whoa. I don't know if we're watching the same 90 minutes of soccer each week, but like, this is not a team of bums. And chill out. Like, okay, last year, Sporting was in last place for like 20 games into the season. And then they got hot. And then they did to us what we never wanted to happen. So like,
that is true.
It's all about composition. It's all about staying positive. But yeah, so Nathan asked about that. He also, really quick, he also was asking about what our opinions are about the new turf coming, which you're probably about to hit on, where it's like the turf has a field life of like 100 hours. And it was heading into that. And now it's being replaced. And like, do we think that's going to give an advantage to us based on our style? And I love your thinking. What did you say about that?
Yeah. So my thought process was that it's going to be a nice, level, even field. But the thing is the one thing about choppy fields, at least, might create chaotic soccer because you hit a little rough patch, somebody kind of stumbles, trips up a little bit, or the ball's passed and it hits like a little rough spot and maybe deviates. That kind of chaos is what City loves. City thrives on chaos. So I think by maybe smoothing it out might actually take away that small little advantage. Now, the one thing I will say that's nice, though, is that two things. One, the chance of injuries is probably less. And then the second thing is compared to last year, we have became slightly more of a possession team as compared to last year. Well, we've maybe favored the chaos just a little less.
And I think I'm thinking of like these football fields, these baseball stadiums where the home field has that real advantage where there's little spots on the field that the ball bounces a little different or your foot slips a little bit and you learn how to play on the contours of those. And I don't know if that's the same way in soccer with the way these fields are being replaced, but maybe if they have a certain feel for a spot on the field and that's going to be gone now because of the new field. So, but these are all millionaire players. Maybe they will be able to adapt better, but like, I think to answer Nathan's question, I don't know if that's going to be an advantage at all. Probably like you're thinking neutral or even a slight disadvantage based on our style of play. But like, yeah, it's going to be a new feel. I am certain it's going to be new. Did you happen to see that fans were trying to purchase little chunks of it? The city the team put out they didn't put out a press release, but they had people talk about that they consider it proprietary secret or something, the way they grow the grass, and they were going to mulch it all and then put it back into, like, they appreciate everyone wanting to have a little piece of that, but like, nope, it's ours and we're keeping it, and thanks for playing. But I remember how protective Bush was of their when Bush 3 opened up, or Bush 2, I think. Which is this 2 or 3? I don't know which one, but I remember we took a tour of Bush and they wouldn't allow us to get off the warning track when we toured it. One person like touched the grass and they were thrown out of the tour. Like, that's how maniacal these teams are. And I imagine City's just the same. So yeah, I mean, I remember like the big thing at like Bush, it was like a $5 million field, and I'm sure it's almost as expensive with City now. So yeah, a little bit of trivia there. They said nope, we're going to mulch it.
So the one thing I was really interested in getting to is Mike H's comment, and he said that when we were asking what should we discuss, he said getting better players and spending money. It's funny though, because every sports fan, anytime your team is not at the top, the answer is always spending your money and getting better players. Now, I get it, and I have that desire too. I'd love for them to get a third high-profile designated player. But the realistic fact is exactly what you just said, is every single team across the entire world wants that exact same thing. They want the good players, right? But not everybody can have the best players out there. And the other thing is just because what's available doesn't mean that it's going to work with our system. Case in point, pretend Sam was available. Well, he's definitely crazy talent. He's definitely a shoot first striker, right? And I'm sure if he was at a different team, he possibly could be lighting it up. But the cold hard fact is that it doesn't work with our style. So maybe there are players out there, but maybe they just don't work with our style. And the other thing is what are we going to replace? We're not going to replace Berkey. Klaus?
No, wow.
You're going to get a lesser player. Like, he's better than fans give him credit for, which blows my mind. But if you try, I guess there are some players that we have to consider, but like also with Leuven coming back, that basically is almost like signing a brand new player.
Yep.
You know, hopefully he comes back strong, of course. So that's the only thing I could think of. Maybe taking Celio and then have Indy at the 10 spot again, because he did great there. And then maybe upgrading the right wing. I could see maybe that. But is it really worth the money? Well, that's the big question, right?
One thing, we all can't be Miami. Miami blew up their team to sign the greatest player of all time. And in 2025, he'll be done. He'll be gone. So they got this season and next season with him, possibly this season, depending on his knees. And then they will crater. Atlanta paid all the money in the world for Giammakis, and I believe right now they're currently below the playoff line right now, and that's great. He's an amazing player, but that doesn't fit in with their style. Spending money doesn't always work. Look at the Yankees. They're seeing that. Look at what we're going through at the Cardinals. Like, it doesn't always work. So one thing that to remember is the MLS did open up and change the DP U22 rules, that now we can have a third DP or up to like 2 or 3 or 4 U22s. And any money that you make for like international sales, that money can now all go back for salary, where in the past it was only a certain amount of that got to go into salary. It all just had to feed back into the team. And that's going to give us a lot of room for growth. Now, we just signed this Colombian player to City 2 for this year only. And if he works out, he's like 18. If he works out, that could be like a DP type signing. And he's a child still. And we got this kid for the next several years. So I don't think we're going to be penny pinchers. I don't think, my God, I remember some guy on Reddit comparing the team right now, this team we're talking about, to the Oakland A's with Moneyball. Like, how dare you, sir? Like, we are not paying $14,000 for a player. Like, we're still spending all this money, and we're going to. And we have more creativity where it's not just a big splash type signings. Like, I would almost argue that with Sam coming on, if he can kind of realize his role in this team, when he subs on, he's almost like a replacement for Klaus. So we basically have a 60 minutes DP coming on, and that can be phenomenal for this team, and that can be phenomenal for everyone involved. Also, we got Mickey Perez at the USL level that's putting in minutes as a defensive center midfielder. How amazing is that going to be towards the end of the year when we bring this kid back? Again, he's only 18. He had just graduated high school, and we still have him under contract. He's not here right now. If you look on the new poster, I'm looking at the poster for this team. He's not on the poster because he is technically in Birmingham, I think, but he's still putting in work. We're going to be probably selling off Pedro. We're going to get that money. We're probably going to be selling Jensen. We're going to get all that money. And so that's all money that's going to go back into the team. So it may not be whatever Premier League player we see that's unhappy with this team. We're not going to get Mbappe to come here. We're not going to get those guys, but we're going to get the talent, and it's going to come. And also, let's be real. This is what St. Louis has always dealt with. If you're a star top talent, would you want to go play in LA or St. Louis, where you get hail and rain and snow in the same day? Like, would you rather have an awesome nightlight or Washington Avenue? Like, which one would you rather have? Like, wine country's great. A 20-year-old class athlete with the body of Adonis probably doesn't want to deal with that. Like, I don't blame the cat, but
Yeah, no,
we'll be able to attract.
I think you're right though. Like that is a huge thing. And actually that's why some of the salary rules that were just changed actually goes in our favor some, where you could take that third DP spot and convert it, right? I think that actually helps teams like us. We're headed into match day 12 coming up here, and it's actually going to be a busy May because there's going to be a Wednesday game thrown in. It's actually going to be...
Do we play LAFC on that game, I think, too? Like,
I can't remember offhand, but so I'm going to do the fun.
We play LAFC on a Wednesday. We play Chicago here on the 11th. Then we go to LA, and then we go to Cincinnati. My God.
Okay.
And then we play Seattle at home. Oh, boy. Five games.
You ready to play the coach game? Here's how the coach game works. Ready? It's this. If you were the coach right now, going into just a generic game, what would you be doing? Like, would you be changing anything? Like, what would you do? Like, you had the magic wand, Mr. Coach. Be trying.
Hey, guys, same lineup. Like, it worked for it worked for the last two games. We had some of that magic. Against Houston, you said generic. I mean, I'm looking at the teams we're playing. I say keep that 4-2-3-1. Like last year, we rolled out the 4-4-2 quite a bit, and then went to the diamond, the 4-2-3-1 diamond kind of thing. But like, we gotta leave this alone, right? We can't be tinkering with stuff. Mechanics coming into his own. We've got Parker doing his thing. The only thing I would change, of course, is when Lubin's ready to play, when Nilsson's ready to play. Those guys, that's their spots. That's their spots. You put them right back where they are, and then we're really rock and rolling. Blom's going to come back. It's like it's like the worst problems to have is what to do with this lineup. But like, if the exact same players are ready on Saturday, we roll out that 4-2-3-1. We put the exact same guys out there, and we just keep cooking. We let them keep building their momentum because it's starting to build. You saw that sass. You saw that sass with Durkin. You saw that sass with Leuven, or not Leuven, but with Celio and Klaus and Osher. It's just these guys get on with these losses. It's phenomenal. So I wouldn't touch a thing. I have tried different kind of lineups, and they've all been so. Like, apparently, as my super coach, I am going to say leave it alone. I'm gonna put my Steve stamp out there. What about you? What would you do, Coach?
Yeah, I
found everybody. Bring in Messi.
Exactly, right? Like, that's the answer. Man, Messi scored 2 goals this past week. Oh, man, that guy's on fire. 2 goals and an assist, I believe it was.
Yeah, he's okay.
I think I wouldn't change anything. The one thing that I would do, though, is after this whole Sam fiasco,
which I like, as a fans, I'm kind of glad that we got an insight into what's going on. But from a team standpoint and the health of a team, I don't like that stuff being public.
Unless you are very, very, very careful with this. Now, part of the issue is that realistically, he doesn't really fit the system very well. So that means that you have to sell him.
Like, if you try to get rid of him now, you just tanked his stock because he's already had issues with his prior team.
From what I've heard, with just, how can I put it, voicing opinions, right? And it appears that this exact same thing happened again.
So do you really want to be round 3 of that as a potential new team? No, his stock just tanked here, right? So now you almost have to find places to play him at, right? Maybe this upcoming game, maybe you know that he's going to come in at the 65th minute, and relieve Klaus. Maybe you kind of know that already. Maybe you know that
Wednesday game, you almost now have obligated yourself to play him. Now,
I just know the end result is the team has to build up his stock.
So that's kind of what I would be thinking over the next couple of games anyways.
Yeah, because you're right. You do have to play him because his contract ends December 31st. So the MLS contracts run year to year. So the good news for us is he has to play ball because either Lutz or Carnell have shown him, you act up, we just ain't going to play you. We will risk not getting our value out of you. what's it worth to you? Because this is his contract year. That's how, as sports fans, we can look at this. This is his free agent year. How do you want it to go, Sam? How do you want it to go? Do you want to sit on the bench or not even be here? Or do you want to actually go out there and score a few more goals, help us win some matches, and we'll make you a little richer? You know, you got to figure it out. But you ain't starting. You ain't starting. What are you going to do? Like, leave it up to him. He's a grown-ass man. What do you want to do? We brought you in. We gave you a chance. What's up, dude? So, like, it's got to be up to him, right?
Is there any other
hot button issues that we need to bring up or anything that's kind of on your mind regarding City or the Cardinals or Battlehawks? Which, by the way, Battlehawks, huge game. I think it was 45-17 against DC. Glorious.
Which, by the way, even DC's, I have been watching like the attendance trackers, and like St. Louis football fans are insane. 41,000, 31,000, and like DC has been averaging like 9,000 at their stadium. They had 19,000 people there this weekend. And I'm betting you St. Louis was the reason why. Like, they had that many people there. So this is still a football town, and we're showing it, and that's so dope. You know, I don't want to talk about the Cardinals. They blew. I can't believe they blew another. I listened to that game today, and I turned it off late after the Mets tied it, and then I saw that they gave him a 2-run home run in the 11th inning. Like, guys, this team sucks. But the good news is cheaper tickets, and that's the only the only way like they're gonna get noticed is if we stop showing up. The only way they're gonna care if we stop showing up. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say that's the thing, you know, just kind of echoing back what we were talking about City and paying for players, paying. The only buy that I'm giving the Cardinals right now is the whole Bally sports situation, right? Because with the bankruptcy, it's like at the end, you can't basically take on all these contracts, because if we get a big player, right, players, right,
and you have them for 3-5 years, you have to pay them, regardless whether it puts you positive or negative, right? So the thing is, though, is with the Bally Sports issue, the problem is we don't know what's going to happen,
right,
with our
TV contracts, right? So whatever we're making this year might be vastly different next year due to the bankruptcy court progressions, or if we get the TV contract sent to Amazon, bye, a contender. You know, like, I don't think they want to handcuff themselves to where they do something bad financially. That's the only buy that I'm giving them. And that's something that I don't really see a lot of fans talking about, which I get. So I don't know how I feel about that. But I agree with you at some point. Like, if it's not that, if it's just that they're wanting to be cheap, or if they're just wanting to milk money off this team without putting money in it, then you're right. As long as people are showing up. But if you try, would they want to change? But if you try, still making just as much money, you know? But if you try, ultimately it's a business. The business is to make money. But if you try, you would hope that they have pride in the team. But I don't know them. Do you know them?
I've never met the Duets personally. No, we haven't really had lunch, so
they keep turning you down.
Yeah. No, I gotta say, they keep turning them down. I'm busy. God, leave me alone. So I'm looking at the payroll for the Cardinals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they're the 12th highest payroll in the major leagues for this year, and you know, so like
doing good.
A lot of those top heavy contracts. I remember when Bally came in and started talking about all these big TV contracts. Like, I remember hearing teams go crazy on these signings because they had all this Bally money coming in. Now that's like apparently the money tree has been dried up and it's dying, and now teams are gonna have to figure it out what they're gonna do. But you know, we don't have to beat that dead horse. So one thing that I thought was funny that we can discuss is that you and I are still learning soccer. We're still learning the terms. And a couple terms that we learned this week, and some fans may say, like, you bozos, how don't you know that? I have been hearing the term brace, and I was like, what the hell is a brace? And I figured it had to be something with scoring. And you were able to clue me in that a brace is when a player scores 2 goals. I'm like, why is it called a brace? And I've got to look that up. Why a brace? Like, a brace it sounds cool to say. You know, I was able to talk about golazo. A golazo is like a super awesome goal, like a golazo. And it's like, okay, that sounds fun. And one thing we both learned today is DOGSO. A DOGSO.
I did not hear that acronym. I knew the words individually set out, but not, yeah.
Okay, so the reason why this came into our universe is one of the players for Houston will not be playing because he received the red card for a DOGSO. And I had to, and I didn't look it up. I actually went and I watched the recap. I spent 7 minutes watching the Houston and Dallas recap on my couch today. And I watched it and I heard that player and the announcer, as soon as he saw it, the announcer's like, "Oh, that's a DOGSO." I'm like, "What the hell's a DOGSO?" So a DOGSO is a denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity. And it's when a player clearly trips, pushes, shoves, interferes with a obvious goal scoring opportunity. And this player did. And you discussed it with Huck. If you're cleared out, you're heading right for the goal, and you get tripped from behind, or some reason you're stopped, and it was a desperation move. Well, in hockey, that's a penalty shot. In soccer, that's a red card. And it was an immediate red card. And I watched the replay, and the guy he got the Dallas player was running out, and the Houston player ran up behind him and kind of like tripped him up. Like he just kind of ran his body into the player and knocked him down. And without hesitation, the referee knew exactly what it was, called a red card and threw him out. So like, DOGSO, we learned DOGSO, which is pretty neat. So like, that's a couple of things. Like, this is what our podcast is. We are not going to have all this information. I could have a cheat sheet behind me with all these terms, and I would never have thought to look at DOGSO. But like, we're in our 40s, and we now have this piece of information that we somehow will never be able to use other than this context. I'm not going to be able to go to my students. You're not going to be able to clients like, "Hey, that's a DOGSO. Sit down." We can't do that. No one's going to. But we know, and that's fun. That's fun. That's all I got. Other than hit us up on the socials. Find Maze there on Facebook. You'll see our BRB Fancast logo. I'm posting all the time. I asked what we're going to talk about tonight. You guys gave me some good information. Be on the lookout for the fridge table where I set the records each week, so you guys can see where we stand every single week. I update it as soon as all the games are over. Email us, call our voicemail, or come on board. Even if you don't want to be on camera, we'll hear your pretty voice. We have soothing voices ourselves. We understand the game. We got you. Just come on over and we'll hang out and chat city soccer. All for city. Go city. And just that's the reason why we're doing this. All right, talk.
Well, on that note, go City.
Go City.